Hi, I'm Erin. I am a single mom of 2 kids. I left the city and quit a PhD to grow my own food and homeschool my own kids and build my own house. I have been here on Dawn's 2-acre property for a year and a bit, and this year I started attending the farmers market, and I thought I would tell you all about how the farmers market is going for me. I have not had a lifelong dream of being a market gardener. I have toured market gardens and found them intimidating as all hell. They are beautiful, they are perfect, they are gardening with a level of intensity that gives me severe anxiety. I don't garden for that reason. I garden because I want to grow my own food. I want to grow my own food because it's healthy, because it's sustainable, because it's affordable, but it is still expensive. And so last year I had a fair amount of extra food. I thought maybe it would be worthwhile to get myself a booth at the local farmers market to try and offset the costs of seeds and tools and the other little expenses like building a greenhouse. I'm 2 months into the farmers market. I thought that maybe today I would film for you what it's like on a harvest day. The farmers market starts at 9 a.m. on Friday mornings. So Thursday is harvest day. And I like to go to bed on Thursday night with everything packed in the truck and ready to go. 2 months in, this is the first week that I have felt like I have the routine under my belt comfortably enough that I could film it for you. So I want to tell you a little bit about what my farmers market experience has been like. Now, I am just one person and I have limited space. So I know that I cannot compete with the large scale market gardeners. I decided to focus on doing specialty items, unusual things, stuff that you can't get at the grocery store, stuff that you can't get from the other market gardeners. What really inspired me in the first place was my cucuzzi squash, because most people have never seen them and everybody think they're really fascinating. So I got so many of them. I probably got 100 cucuzzi squash last year. Half of them went rotten before I could even get them in the freezer because I just had so many. And then the ones that are in the freezer all have freezer burn because it's just too much cucuzzi squash for one family. So I thought even cucuzzi squash alone I could sell at the farmers market. But of course cucuzzi squash don't come in until we're late July now, and they've just started coming in. And the farmers market started on May 24th. So I was sort of having a bit of a panic about what do I sell for the first couple of months of the farmers market when we don't have heirloom tomatoes or cucuzzi or any of the other weird things that I grow. So I realized by looking around the property that I have a lot of greens. I have a lot of things that I can forage and things that I can grow that people can eat in salads or can make into teas. So that's what I decided to do. I did something called build your own salad and build your own tea. And every week at the farmers market, I have a display of all these containers, and I have a pair of tongs and I have plastic bags. People can choose what they want and put it in the bag, and then they give me $5 for the bag, which everyone says I'm not charging enough money, but that's just how I am. I'm a cheap person and I undervalue my work. That's just how it goes. So my containers are all cleaned and ready to go, and they are in the wagon, and we're going to take them into the garden and we're going to start harvesting. So this is my cucuzzi this year. It's in a new place. I gave it a much sturdier trellis. You can see this is like, I don't know, 7.5 feet off the ground. And these cucuzzi plants are almost covering the whole thing. It looks absolutely beautiful. And the fruit have started coming in. You can see one really long, skinny one here. That is definitely unusual, but I'll harvest him for the farmer's market because he'll get a lot of attention. Let's see, there's another small one here, and there's a bigger one here, and a bigger one here. So we'll put all of those on our table at the farmer's market this week, which I'm very excited about because this is only the second time I've had cucuzzi. I only had one last week and it sold before the farmer's market even opened. So this is going to be fun. Also this week I'm going to have some patty pan zucchinis, and I'm going to have some English cucumbers, nice big long English cucumbers. English cucumbers aren't really a thing that I'm committed to selling because it's normal. Everybody sells them. And the other market gardeners, they can sell them much cheaper than me because they have acres of garden space. So things that are easy to grow, they can sell for practically nothing. I can't really compete with that. So I have to sell just a bit stuff that's a bit weirder and a little bit more expensive. And more to that vein, I have a beautiful Armenian cucumber. I'm so proud of it. This is only the second Armenian cucumber I've ever managed to grow in 2 years. No, in 3 years. And the last one was all bug eaten. So I'm really, really happy to have this guy. So in my salads, I put a mix of things that I grow and things that I forage. And fantastically conveniently, a lot of the weeds that grow in my garden are not only edible, but actually quite tasty. So every gardener is going to recognize this little weed. This is lamb's quarters, and it tastes very similar to spinach. And the great thing about lamb's quarters is it grows everywhere. You can see it all over this garden. And it doesn't care about heat, it doesn't care about cold, it doesn't really get a lot of pests, and it's constantly reseeding itself so that there is a never-ending supply of lamb's quarters. So when I'm harvesting for the farmer's market, I am also weeding my garden. And lamb's quarters is even good to harvest when it's a great big plant like this. Like some plants, as they get bigger, the leaves get woodier or bitter, but these ones taste just as good when they're big as when they're little. So it's really awesome. Another weed that is edible is this right here. This is called wood sorrel, and it has a really wonderfully lemony candy kind of flavor to it. It looks a lot like clover, but you can tell the difference because the leaves are more heart-shaped and they almost fold in half. And then they get these cute little yellow flowers, which turn into big bean-looking seed pods, which are also delicious to eat. So I always harvest a lot of wood sorrel because it is one of the most popular foraged things. In fact, it's one of the most popular greens that I sell in my build your own salad. Now this is something that I grow in my garden. This is called red Malabar spinach. I don't really like growing spinach. I find it really fiddly. I have never had good success with it. It doesn't like cold weather. It doesn't like hot weather. It bolts and the flavor goes when it bolts. And I did try to grow it this year. I tried really hard and I had terrible germination rates with it. So I've kind of given up on spinach. But this is my first year growing red Malabar spinach, and I'm really, really happy with it. It's very healthy. It vines quite nicely. It was a bit slow to get going, but I'm really happy with it. It seems to be selling quite well. People seem to like it. This is something else that's done really well at the farmer's market is radish seed pods. It's getting a bit late in the summer for radishes, but sometimes you get radishes that don't form a radish. You just get a stem and no big, beautiful round root. People will usually just pull those, but if you let it go to seed, these little seed pods are actually really tasty. They taste just like radishes. You need to harvest them when they're fresh and soft. As they get older, they dry out and they get stringy and really gross. But even if that happens, you can still save the seeds and you can plant the seeds for microgreens. You can save the seeds to grow more radishes as long as you only have one variety of radish. But I have like 7 varieties of radishes, so they will cross-pollinate. So my seeds won't give me true radishes, but they'll give me really good microgreens. So when you grow radishes, there's actually 3 different crops that you can harvest from them, which is really awesome. But these radish seed pods have done really well at the farmer's market. Some of my peppers look like that. Some of my peppers look like that. And some of my peppers look like that. So I'm not about to brag about my pepper growing this year. So most of the farmers at the farmer's market sell portion sizes that are a pint. But I just don't have that big of a garden. I don't grow enough to sell somebody a pint of peppers. But also as myself, when I was shopping, I would never buy a pint of peppers unless I was pickling them or making hot sauce. And I can't target that market. They want to buy a lot for a really cheap price. I just don't have that kind of space. So what I do is I sell them sort of individually. You know, people can choose how many they want to get of each variety, and I'll just make up a price based on what they want to spend, how much they want to get. So this plant here is called Heal All. So I've been harvesting this to sell for my build your own tea. And when it doesn't sell, all I do is take it home and put it in my drying rack, and then I can set it aside in some mason jars, and I have dried Heal All anytime I need it. I also do that with all the mints, with the stevia, with sweet Sicily, and the chamomile. So for the first time in my life, thanks to the farmer's market, I am being proactive about making my own herbal teas, which is a really wonderful plus to what I'm doing at the farmer's market this year. So once I have harvested all the greens, I bring them and put them in their containers, and I wash them. At this table, this is actually a table that's designed for gutting fish, but I've put it out beside the garden, and I use it to clean all my veggies, which is a really life-saving invention, and I'm really glad I thought of it, because you can just plug the hose into it and it just drains back into the garden, but it gives me a really nice workspace. Anyways, I've had to really bumble my way through figuring out what to do with the veg, because some of the veg does better if you wash it, and some of the veg does better if you don't. The sweet Sicily is an example of greens that if they get wet, they get ruined. It really wrecks them. Some things they do best if I actually leave them in the cold water all the way until tomorrow and drain them at the farmer's market. And some of them are really fine and they don't care what I do with them. They're really, this wood sorrel is an example of that. And this is just all stuff that I just learned from trial and error. You know, one week I would do one thing and the next week I would do a different thing. Whatever I had left over, I would store in my fridge, and I would try different methods to see which made things last the longest. And through trial and error, I figured it all out. And it took me, now I'm 2 months in, so I've done this once a week for, I guess, 8 weeks probably. I feel really confident about what I'm doing, and I feel really comfortable that I know how long it's going to take me to do stuff, and I know how thorough I need to be and all those sorts of things. So it hasn't taken me too long to figure out my routine. It's getting late. It's like after 8 o'clock. I was on a real roll, and then at 4 o'clock things came to a grinding halt when Abby started barfing, possibly from a concussion. I'm not really sure yet. So now I'm in a bit of a panic to get ready for the farmer's market, which is how it usually goes, as I'm watching the sun sink below the sky and I'm doing calculations about how much more work there is still to do. Right now I am harvesting cucamelons. My cucamelons are an absolute tangly disaster. They're hardly even using the trellis. They're mostly just in a lump all over the ground here. So looking for fruit on this bush is a real experience. This is this is entirely volunteers from last year. This is the same patch where I grew cucamelons last year. So I didn't even bother planting cucamelons. I just let these volunteers go, which is why it's such an absolute disaster. But the cucamelons sell really well. People really love them. It's not so much the taste that they love, it's the novelty, to be honest. They have grown on me. I wasn't a big fan when I first had them, but I'm a bigger fan now. So one of my favorite things about doing the farmer's market so far has been meeting people and talking to people and sharing garden wisdom and the conversations that I have with the customers. It was a really a pleasant surprise how much I've enjoyed the social aspects of things, because I'm a bit of an introvert. I find it tiring, but I'm really enjoying it. But a great example of an exchange that has been very fun is that there's a woman who comes to the farmer's market, not every week, but most weeks, and she is Romanian, I believe she said. And last week I was selling stevia, the really sugary leaves, and I give them samples to everybody because it's such a neat thing to eat a leaf that tastes like sugar. And she said in Romanian there's something called stevia that is completely different. We chit-chatted about it and we tried to figure out what it was, and she looked it up on her phone, and it's actually, in Canada we call it dock, and it can be used, the leaves or the roots can be used, and they're used in soups. And so I guess there's quite a famous Romanian recipe for making soup out of dock. So I have dock, and I've often thought about bringing it into the farmer's market, but I just didn't bother because I have quite a few things already. But this week I have an extra container with nothing in it, so I'm going to harvest my dock and I'm going to bring it in, and we'll see. I don't know if she'll come this week. She came last week, so she might not come this week, but if she does, I'll have some dock to give her. It is 9:30. The harvest is done, and that's in the truck, but my tent and my tables and all that sort of stuff, I took it all out when we went to the drive-in movie yesterday, so none of that is in the truck. I'll have to do that first thing in the morning. Abby is feeling better. She has stopped barfing, so I have her dinner here for her. So it is 9:30 at night, and we should have been in bed half an hour ago, and I'm only just feeding her dinner. So once again, Thursday night is a show, even though I started early and I felt really confident that this was going to be the week that I would have my act together. Here we are, still in a last minute stressful panic. Thursday is quickly becoming my least favorite day of the week. So it is Friday morning. Today is the farmer's market. It's actually been 2 weeks since the other stuff that I filmed. I forgot entirely about filming, and then last week it rained, so I wasn't going to film that, but today we are ready to go. I've just been doing some last minute harvesting of the chamomile. The girls are still in bed. I'm going to have to get them up and get them dressed. We need to leave in about a half an hour, so hopefully half an hour is enough to get them dressed and to do chores and to be in the truck to go. So wish us luck. Time to get up, girls! Time to get up to the farmer's market. I can leave you here if you want. Dawn's gonna be here. You don't have to come. See you there in a minute, babes. Awesome. Let's roll, Crokinole. All right, in you get, dudes.
Get out of the video, Abby.
Doing? That one.
Where you say the clay is?
If you get really carried away, I'll ask you.
Okay.
But for the most part, people generally respect the $5. So it's the beginning of October, and the farmer's market is almost finished. We only have one more week after this. So I thought I'd do a bit of a introduction to the people that are here. I'm coming to interview you, Sammy.
Interview?
Yeah. Okay, so This is your first year doing the farmer's market, right?
It is.
What surprised you? What was different than what you were expecting?
That's a good question. I would say how interested so many people are and how much some people knew about mushroom, especially the lion's mane here.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I was pretty surprised how many people knew about the medical benefits.
Oh, that's
of
cool.
it, like the cognitive function, help break around neurons and everything. So
Cool.
that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
But
How much talking you end up doing?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talking
Yeah.
compared to sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting people that are
Yeah.
just curious. But
If you were going to give advice to anybody who wants to do a farmer's market but isn't quite sure, anything you'd say?
you're gonna have bad days and good days.
Yeah.
Some days I've left with not much money at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Some days I've made a lot of money, so
Yeah.
it's an up and down.
Yeah. And you're going to eat a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. Be prepared to eat a lot of your own supply.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, dude. If you were to give advice to somebody just starting out, what would you say?
I'd say get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and just set up a table.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? Honestly, when I first started this, I went to the Dollar Tree and I got tablecloths, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I knew you needed a tent and a table and your stuff.
Yeah.
And then just muddling through those teachable moments brings you to a new place of some big self-esteem and some bigger dreams. And now I want to do more markets. I'm hungry to go to Godridge and Bayfield and the Pinery even. And I would have never thought of doing that had I not stuck my neck out.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of my sea legs, if you will.
Yeah. And now you got the bug.
Now I got the bug. And honestly, there's people around you that will support you,
Yeah.
give you advice, guidance.
I have found that
and
really,
friendship.
it's not as competitive. I thought it was going to be more competitive, but it's much more community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're going to do it next year?
100%.
Good.
I love it.
You're old hand at farmers markets, aren't you?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, you've been doing them for a while?
So my wife and I actually run a farmer's market
Oh.
in Brights Grove.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
So you know the inside and outside
So
and
the inside and the backside and the front side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So you like farmers market. What do you like about farmers
So there's
market?
two things I like. First of all, I just like talking to a bunch of people because sometimes you'll see people you haven't seen for years,
Yeah.
or people you want to talk to, or you meet new people that have interesting stories or backgrounds.
Yeah.
And then there's all the vendors.
Yeah.
So after a while, you get to have like this extra family of
Yeah.
all the vendors, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all kinds of fun
That's
things.
the thing that surprised me more than anything, how much like camaraderie there is between
For sure.
everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm at 2 or 3 different farmers markets, so I have like these extra families from different places,
Yeah.
which is kind of neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the, and yes, you sell stuff, and yes, you make a little money. That's almost ancillary. That's
Yeah.
just like sort of a sidebar.
If someone was just thinking about starting to go to the farmers market, what advice would you give?
As a vendor,
Yeah, as a vendor. Yeah.
2 things. First of all, make sure that whatever your product is something people are interested in. I've seen some vendors come with stuff and it just sits there all day.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's frustrating. And come with an attitude of you're just there to enjoy the time that you're there and make the most of it. If you end up going home with money, so be it. That's good. If not, make sure that what you're doing there is at least enjoyable, so it's not wasted or frustrating.
And then this is what we do when the farmers market gets slow.
Yeah.
So you've been doing farmers market since you were like 16? Yeah. So you know what you're doing.
Hopefully.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out and doesn't know what they're doing?
One, like, don't give up like on your first week, because like a lot of people, they'll come and they'll be like, oh, the first week I didn't sell anything.
Right.
But actually what happens is the first week people kind of just check things out. So even like at an established market that I've been at for years,
Yeah.
the first week people came and act by and they're like, oh, I already bought lettuce, I didn't know if you'd have it, I'll be back next week. And then your sales sometimes pick
Right.
up.
Yeah.
I really like the tall stools, because you know you're sitting down in your chair and people are like, oh, don't get up, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Like
You look too cozy.
yeah, so
Like Bethany over there, curled up in like 3 towels and
yeah, so like I like the stool because people don't notice if you're standing up or sitting down.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I also like really clear signage. Just talk to people and
Yeah.
like have a nice day.
Yeah.
Because that does better. And don't be afraid to take a break if you need to, I guess.
Okay.
I always felt compelled to come every single week. And I did that for years and years and years. And I was just like, you know what? If you're not happy and if you're not happy with the product, take some time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How long have you been doing farmers markets for?
Probably about 3 years.
Okay.
2.5.
What advice would you give to people who are...
You have to get up and work. You gotta get up and sell and introduce your product the
Yeah.
best way you can.
You're really good at doing that.
Well, because I love my product.
Yeah.
And usually when you love what you do, it shines through. Okay? You expect to be around people and you expect to be outdoors and all the different weather patterns that you receive, including windstorms, and rain.
Did the tea idea come first, or did the farmer's market idea
The
come
tea
first?
idea came first.
Okay. So you were working on it at home and you thought maybe I'll do the
Yes.
farmer's market?
And then I figured out that really doing markets is the best form of advertising.
Yeah.
It beats any type of printed advertising,
Yeah.
and it's cheaper, but it just requires more effort and work.
That's cool.
Right? That's the most bonus.
Because you're meeting people and they're seeing...
You're connecting
yeah.
to people, and then what happens with time, the people get to know your product, they trust you, and they come
Yeah.
back for more
Yeah,
of
yeah,
your
yeah.
product.
Would you say that most of your customers are repeat, or would you say
Most
it's...
are repeat.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Right? Which means my product is good, and I love my products. I drink them all the time too.
This is me showing everybody else all packed up and ready to go. And my... Yeah. Not me. And when I get home from the farmer's market, my gift to myself is I get to take the rest of the day off. Except that I still have the girls until, I don't know, like 3 or so when their dad comes and picks them up. And I have to unload everything from the farmer's market and put all the herbs in the drying racks and put last week's herbs out of the drying racks into the jars. And I usually like to clean my house when the girls leave so that it's clean for the rest of the weekend. And I still have to do chores and I still have to make dinner. But if you forget about all of those things, I take the rest of Friday off, and then Saturday I'm going to be launching into canning all the tomatoes that I harvested but didn't sell. So that is the routine every week. So today is the very last farmer's market. It's been a really good year. I've really enjoyed it. I am definitely going to do it again next year. I really love the challenge of figuring out how to do it better so that it'll go better next year than it went this year. I think that'll be kind of cool. I'm excited about it. But I'm also really glad to just have a little bit of a break. The last day of the farmer's market, so today I was saying goodbye to everybody. I have some people who come every single week and buy from me every single week. They don't buy the same thing, but they get excited about the things that I sell. And also all the people who work at the farmer's market. I've really enjoyed seeing them every week, and we've all become really good friends. And so everybody's like, we're gonna keep in touch over the winter. So we'll see if that happens. I hope it does. It would be really nice to see everybody. So I'm glad I did the farmer's market. I will do it again next year. I definitely recommend it. It is a lot of work and it's not a lot of money, but it's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to be social. It's a great way to meet my people, like the people who are interested in the same kinds of things that I'm interested in. So if that sounds appealing to you, absolutely go for it. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time. It's as tall as a 10-year-old, taller than a 10-year-old.